This is the Biz News Podcast, one-on-one conversations with experts in business and personal development.
Is your marketing a joke? Seriously, adding humor to marketing may improve it, say the marketing mavens of humorous cat litter, among other things, Shelby and Kristina Clifford. They're the owners of Take Two Content in Los Angeles, and they're using humor to help clients find and retain customers on social media. For a cat litter advertiser, the pair decided to tackle the cat lady's stigma head-on. Shelby and Kristina Clifford join us for this Biz News interview podcast to talk a bit about cat litter and a lot about marketing with humor. Before we start, why don't you guys introduce yourselves to our audience? Who is who?
I'm Kristina.
I'm Shelby, and we work together as a team.
Comedy duo, if you will.
Yeah, our business is called Take Two Content, and we basically produce and create video content for brands and businesses that increases brand awareness while using comedy.
And in terms of using comedy, do you find business people are able to laugh at themselves?
I would hope so. I feel like that is who we connect with, those businesses that are able to take risks and laugh at themselves. Because at the end of the day, I think that's the most relatable thing, because I think anybody watching can laugh at themselves, and you know, that's a good quality to have in a business.
It's definitely something that a business person should have if they don't.
Well, assuming they have it, can you give us a couple of examples from clients you've worked with?
Yeah, well, the client we most recently worked with is a cat litter company, and they are very much on the train of wanting to go for the unexpected, take a little bit of risk, and really go for that comedy. And so that, I think, is why they came to us, because we originally started out doing comedy videos just for fun, and we learned a lot in the process. And then at one point I think it was during the pandemic, we were like, you know, it'd be really nice if all this hard work, you know, made some money.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Doug.
How on earth do you make cat litter humorous?
Well, I would say there's already a little bit of humor in cat litter. So in that way, yeah, in that way, we've got a little bit of a gift there. But kind of what we did for that client, we just finished a second round of videos for them, is on our first round, we kind of created a spokesperson who embraces that stereotype of being a cat lady, and then we flipped it on his head and turned it into a cat goddess. So now it's something where a woman that thinks people look at her and think she's a cat lady is like, oh, no, you've got this all wrong. I'm a very glamorous cat goddess. And in turn, that is something that other cat owners are going to see and say, oh my gosh, I want to be seen as this. Let me share this with my friends. Let me share this, you know, on my Instagram or my YouTube or what have you.
So we like to bring a little fun to the mix. And I think that usually catches people's attention and eyeballs and makes them want to keep watching.
Let's take a quick look at some of that spot.
I am so tired of, oh, you're a cat lady? Ooh, so many cats, cat lady. Little do they know, I'm a cat goddess, thanks to pretty litter. Did my apartment used to smell? Yes. Did my kitties used to track litter dust all over the floors? Yes.
Now, how important is it that they share the information on social media?
I would say that's probably very important. If we can get people to share our content, share our clients' content.
There's a buzz about it.
Yeah, because they find it funny, enjoyable, relatable. For us, relatability is kind of that number one key thing. We want people to relate, because I think that's what really makes people share. But basically, that's creating free marketing for our clients. So that's paramount for us.
That word free is certainly one of the most powerful ones in advertising, especially if it applies to the advertiser.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Everybody loves free.
So how did you guys get your start again? You were doing something just to occupy time during COVID or what?
Well, I met Shelby, I want to say maybe close to 10 years ago at this point. But we were both actresses and we knew the other wanted to make content and funny content at that. And so we just kind of started doing it together organically and wanted to build an Instagram following. So we were putting all this time and effort in for so many years. And I think in turn, it really helped us with this business because we had so much practice doing it ourselves that when the pandemic hit and we both lost our day jobs, it was kind of like the first thing we went to, like, how can we monetize this? So we started working with a YouTube ad agency and we kind of discovered, hey, we're pretty good at this. Maybe we should expand and start an LLC officially. And here we are, we're learning. Not to say we're not learning a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of our viewers and listeners have started or hope to start their own businesses as an LLC or a subchapter S or a proprietorship. What was the hardest thing getting your company off the ground?
I would say the hardest thing wasn't even necessarily the logistics. It was taking that leap of faith and really committing both financially and on paper.
Time.
Because like she said, when we started, we were kind of doing this as sort of like a hobby. And then when we lost our jobs, we had done a couple branded spots, but we hadn't really pursued it seriously. The pandemic really forced us to take the risk and like dive in. And then once we started getting more and more clients, it became a thing of, we had one client that was in Europe and he was like, I can't pay you if you don't have an LLC, or I have to pay you through this certain way. So that kind of pushed us to say, okay, if we're going to do this, we need to fully commit and do it. And I think that was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Paperwork is essential to starting any business. Did you have to hire an accountant, a lawyer, or something like that?
We actually consulted a lawyer friend who helped us out.
If you could find a lawyer friend, any listeners out there, then that's key.
So yeah, be resourceful. We did use an accountant. The guy that was already my accountant for personal taxes helped us out a lot and gave us a lot of advice and feedback. And he'll be doing our business taxes going forward. So we did have to find a good accountant. Luckily, I already had one, and luckily she had a friend that was an attorney.
Well, so what mistakes did you make that you had to scramble to fix, if any?
Oh, there have been many, many mistakes.
The ones you can tell in a family gathering.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. I would say an ongoing a mistake that we learned pretty early on when we were doing the comedy videos is how important sound is and how you can't skimp on sound.
No.
And as you probably know, as being a podcaster, it's very important to be able to hear people clearly. It just, if you don't have good sound, forget about it. The quality is done for.
I would say another is, I bet a lot of new business owners can relate to this, but making sure you are charging what you're worth. Obviously, when you start out, you are willing to take anything and everything, as you should be. But once you start doing that, you kind of hit a wall where you're like, okay, I feel like I'm putting a lot of my time in and I'm not being compensated. And sometimes it's hard to mentally make that jump and say, no, I deserve to be making this much.
It's hard to talk about money.
It's hard to talk about money.
Yeah. That's been a learning curve for us.
Definitely. And we have found that when we do push ourselves to ask for what we're worth, people generally respond positively. Yeah.
That is one of the toughest things we have found in talking to business people who are starting up is setting the price. Did you do it by hour, by completed project, or something else?
Well, with the services we provide, it is such a sliding scale depending on the project, what kind of budget the client has. So it is varying degrees and what goes into it. Do we need a location for this? How many actors do we need? And the instance with the cat litter company, we needed a pet. So there's a lot of variables to consider. So we usually have been going about it with giving a range once we know the parameters of the project.
Yeah, I would say usually when we're producing a commercial from start to finish, we're going to charge for the project. We'll have a budget for the project, and that will include all the, like she said, the location fee, the actors, and then it will also include our fee as well. But I have, and both of us have done things if we're doing maybe just one process or one part of the production process. So either just writing a script or editing, sometimes we'll charge hourly for that. But most often I would say it's on a project basis.
So what does go into making one of these commercials for YouTube or Instagram or whatever it might be?
Well, we always get started with a preliminary meeting with the client where we do a lot of listening.
I think that's a mistake people make. They kind of just blurt out their ideas, but we really need to listen to what the client specifically needs
and wants and what they're responding to. Then we usually do sort of a brainstorm session where we do not edit ourselves. So if
balls to the wall.
Yeah, if you're out there and you want to, create videos for your business or your brand, make sure when you're brainstorming, you don't edit yourself because you never know what's going to come out. Then once we've done a final pitch and we've got the spots that they want to move forward with, we do pre-production, which would be location scouting, casting, budgeting, everything from, hiring our lighting guy, our DP, our sound guy. Then we shoot, and then the two of us edit. So
you edit your own video then?
We do,
we do, which has taught us a lot about comedy and how important story is. So I think all these things put together they help each other out. You learn editing and it really teaches you about writing and storytelling.
100%.
So now that COVID is relaxing its grip on at least the United States, and we are more and more people going maskless, getting back to work, would you guys ever give this up and go back to your old day jobs?
I don't think so.
No. That's where the pandemic was kind of a blessing in disguise. Definitely the silver lining there was starting to grow what we've been doing and making it into an actual business. And yeah, bye day job.
Yeah, definitely.
Boy, oh boy, you're part of the resignation wave, I suspect.
But put in a lot more hours than I ever have before just starting this thing. So
definitely. It is 100% more work. I was working for a small production company before the pandemic. And it's interesting because I am doing essentially the same tasks, but just on a greater scale. And I have control. I have control of my time. I have control of what we work on. So I would say if someone is feeling the same way, it's worth the risk.
Have you ever found that 25th or 26th hour in a day when you need it?
I'm still looking.
We're searching. We're searching, but we can't see.
Now, here's a serious question. Sometimes you'll be working on a commercial and the client is a jerk. Mm-hmm. How do you balance your creativity against jerkism, so to speak?
That's a great question. I think it is quite the balance. I think when receiving that kind of feedback, you really need to understand, don't look at it as like an attack, but look at it as like, okay, what are they really saying behind their feedback and their words? Like, what are they not getting from us? Because ultimately we want to make them happy.
Yeah. And sometimes it's even a matter of just knowing that it probably has nothing to do with you and you just want to put their mind at ease. So if they're coming at you, it's probably because someone is coming at them. And I think it's important to stand up for yourself and
at the same time,
yeah,
in a diplomatic way.
Look, this is what I've put in, but at the same time, like, you are valuable to me. I want you to feel heard. I respect your opinion. Hopefully you'll respect mine.
So you have to kind of be some version of Henry Kissinger, it would seem. Now, I have talked to many a small business person who has partners, and some say our friendship has deepened and grown over the years as we have been business partners. I have heard others who have said, it is only by the grace of God I haven't used a gun on the person. So how does partnership work for you guys?
You know, I can't speak for Shelby. I'm not sure what she says behind closed doors, but for me, I think it's strengthened and only deepened our friendship. And we kind of like can read each other's thoughts. Like, we know each other so well, which I think makes a great partnership, because I know her humor so well. She knows mine. We know our strengths and weaknesses, and we can balance those out. And I'm honestly so grateful for her, because she's just a powerhouse, and I've learned so much from her.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same. I feel like, yeah, it's interesting because it almost felt like sort of seamless, since we were kind of working together on our hobby of making these videos for so long. Kind of going into business together felt very natural, I would say, because we already had a rhythm in terms of the way that we worked together. Before we started the LLC, we started doing paid jobs and working together. So yeah, it was pretty great, I would say. And we're pretty good with communicating, I think. I think that's like very key. And we support each other. I'm her number one supporter, and she's my number one supporter. So.
Well, so you still get together for the Thanksgiving dinner, so to speak.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Now, one thing you have said, you have 5 keys to creating a successful social media ad campaign. What on earth would those be?
Well, yeah, if you're wanting to either make videos for yourself in your own business, or you want to hire someone to do X, Y, and Z, I feel like one of the most important things is going for the unexpected. That's where comedy lives and breathes. And also, like I talked about before a little bit, is story. Make sure there is a story. Make sure your audience knows what they're getting into, knows what the product is. Yeah.
And that you have a beginning, middle, and end to your ad, like you would to a traditional story. You want to make sure that's in there. Another one, number 2, is something that we kind of already discussed as part of our process, which is really listening to the client, listening to what they want. Or if you're producing your own video for your own brand or business, you want to listen to your target customer, really like
put yourselves in their brain.
Put yourselves in their brain.
What are my issues? What are my problems?
Right. And if you know people in that age range or in that demographic, ask them, say, how do you respond to this? What do you think about this? And genuinely take that on. Don't just say, you don't know what you're talking about.
Number 3 would be have options. And the way we do this, and most people do this, is by a thing called a hook, which is the first 5 to 10 seconds, which is supposed to really grab the audience, really say, oh, that's interesting. I want to watch this. So if we have multiple hooks, then we give our client multiple options so they can really test and see what resonates when they put it online.
Yes, absolutely. And then we have a standard core section of the ad that works with each hook. And then we have 2 call to action options. So that way, when they're running their ads, they can say, hey, hook C really worked for us, and not so much A and B. So that way, even if we're doing one video, we have at least more options for success, and kind of ties into our last point, which we'll get to in a minute, but that would be learning from your results. But before that, our number 4 would be building a great team. So for us, that means, depending on the scale of the project, that means hiring a wonderful sound engineer, like we talked about, hiring a great cinematographer, finding the best possible location, and really
surrounding yourself with people that are not only excited, but are experts in their respective fields. And we like to pride ourselves that not only do we like to bring fun and creativity into the project and the video itself, we also want to create an environment with our team where everybody is having fun. Everybody has an opinion to a certain extent. Like, we trust the people that are surrounding us.
Let them be the experts in their field. And then, the last one is just making sure you learn from your results, making sure you're taking that feedback in. And that could be down to, if you run your ad and you run your different hooks, like we mentioned, seeing, oh, what was it about C that really popped? What was that versus these other two?
Why didn't the B hook work?
Right.
Like, what was going on there that we think didn't grab somebody's attention or keep them listening?
Mm-hmm.
Now, one final question, not necessarily the final question, but getting close, and that is attention span of viewers. We have heard that it's down to the attention span of a goldfish with Alzheimer's.
You said it perfectly. That is absolutely true, especially with TikTok. TikTok especially, because it's just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
So that is a challenge and something we're still trying to attack. And, I think the quicker you can surprise somebody or shock somebody in the first, 5 seconds, the better. And that's always the goal, while keeping the integrity of the product or service in mind.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few different ways to grab attention. I think relatability, like we said, is key. So that could either be, if I'm thinking of TikTok, somebody talking straight to the viewer and saying, I'm having a huge issue with this that they would relate to, or that could be, grabbing somebody's attention by making, one thing that really heightens comedy is making big problems small and small problems big. So, if you can't find your pen and it's the end of the world, versus if it's the end of the world and you're like, so that kind of helps, I think, somebody say, oh, what is that?
It really must be a terrific challenge to tell an advertiser's story in such a short amount of time, beginning, middle, end in 10 seconds.
Oh, well, in terms of the scope of the whole ad, I would say for the beginning, middle, and end. But at least for that 5 to 10 seconds, getting out what the product is, what it's about, and maybe something a little either offbeat or a comedic spin or something a little shocking to keep them watching.
Yeah. For example, for our most recent client, we did one where the spokesperson says something about feeling like you might live in a litter box, and then we show him literally living in a litter box. So something like that is going to grab people right away. But the hook would be the first 5 to 10 seconds if we're talking about YouTube, and then the ad can continue beyond that. So we can have sort of our middle and our end after that. If we're talking about, TikTok, the whole thing has to be 10 seconds.
TikTok, and that's it, I believe, is the full name of the company. What would you guys like to, before we get to that, you must have a website where people can get in touch with you and find out more about your product.
Mm-hmm. That would be www.take2content.com.
And that's the number 2.
Oh, yes. And then we're also on YouTube and Instagram. So come check us out.
Yeah, if you search Take Two content, it should come right up.
Well, you guys have given us an awful lot of excellent information, and I'm sure it's going to be very encouraging to other small business people and those who'd like to start their small businesses. But what would you like to add? Good, bad, ugly, or anything that we haven't talked about?
Well, if people are out there and they're wanting to take the plunge, I say fully commit, go for it. And if you're wanting to make videos, vulnerability is key, and not trying to edit yourself in a way that's going to limit your creativity.
Yeah, also something we're saying, if you're looking to make videos yourself and you're new at it, it is a learning process. I would say start small. iPhones have amazing video quality right now. Practice before you put, $10,000 into creating a video for your brand. So that would be something if you're looking to do it yourself.
Or you can just go to Take Two content.
You've been watching the Biz News Podcast. We welcome your input. Send your email to editor@biznews.com. Thanks for watching.